Part 1. Zyra limped through the curved hallways of the Celestial Academy, her three-fingered hand gripping her walking aid tightly. The other Vexari students moved with natural grace on their 4 lower limbs, while she struggled with only 3. Her missing limb was a constant reminder of the ship crash that nearly took her life 5 cycles ago. Most Vexari avoided looking at her, their large violet eyes darting away when she approached. At 20 cycles old, Zyra was the first disabled student admitted to the prestigious xenobiology program. Her people valued physical perfection above all else, and her presence made many uncomfortable. She felt their stares when they thought she was not looking. The academy, located on neutral territory, Station Harmony 7 hosted students from 12 different species across the galaxy. Despite this diversity, Zyra remained isolated. Even among aliens who looked nothing like her species, she was seen as different. Deficient Zyra entered the laboratory, where partner assignments would be posted. The air smelled of cleaning agents and exotic biochemicals. Her heart sank when she saw the digital board. Most names were already paired, including all other Vexari. Her name stood alone at the bottom of the list, unmatched. Professor Kulvak. A towering insectoid with gleaming black eyes clicked his mandibles for attention. His voice translator hummed to life. The final shuttle from Earth has arrived. Our human students will join us today. Those without partners will be assigned to them. Humans were newcomers to interstellar society, their homeworld only recently discovered by Galactic Council scouts 5 Earth years ago. Many species viewed them with suspicion or fascination. Zyra had studied their biology but never met one in person. She knew humans had a reputation for being unpredictable, emotional, and adaptable. Some called these traits primitive, others found them intriguing. The laboratory doors slid open, revealing 5 humans, 3 males, and 2 females according to their file designations. Zyra observed them with scientific interest. Their soft skin varied in shades from pale to deep brown. 2 had long hair growth on their heads, while the others had shorter styles. Their limbs seemed oddly proportioned to Vexari eyes, too thin and with too many joints. Professor Kulvak guided them inside. The female with auburn hair pulled back from her face scanned the room. Her eyes, a startling green, locked with Zyra's for a moment before. Looking away, the Vexari felt an unexpected flutter in her secondary heart. This human did not seem disgusted by her appearance. The professor assigned partners quickly until only Zyra and the auburn-haired human remained unpaired. Cadet Zyra will work with Cadet April Winters, Professor Kulvak announced. The human female smiled and walked directly toward Zyra without hesitation or revulsion. The room fell silent. Several Vexari exchanged meaningful glances which Zyra pretended not to notice. She had become skilled at ignoring such reactions. Hello, April extended her hand, then seemed to remember Vexari customs and quickly retracted it. Looking forward to working together. Her voice was melodic with an accent Zyra had never heard. Her directness surprised the Vexari. Most new acquaintances avoided mentioning her disability or stared too long. April did neither. Zyra bowed slightly. I welcome our partnership. My knowledge of human physiology is theoretical. I look forward to practical applications. April laughed a pleasant sound. I promise to be an interesting specimen. They were assigned to study comparative cardiovascular systems. April set up their workstation while Zyra prepared the biological samples. When April accidentally knocked over a tray of instruments, she quickly gathered them before Zyra could struggle to bend down. I can manage, Zyra said automatically, used to defending her independence. April nodded. Of course you tell me when you need help and when you don't. I do the same deal. No other student had ever proposed such an arrangement. Most either ignored her difficulties completely or tried to do everything for her. Zyra considered the human's words. That seems logical, she agreed after a moment. They worked well together. April, asking intelligent questions about Vexari biology while offering insights about human systems. Zyra found herself relaxing in the human's presence. April treated her as an equal, not as a curiosity or burden during their meal break. April noticed Zyra struggling with the food dispensers, which were designed for species with different reach and grip capabilities. This station needs serious accessibility upgrades, April commented casually. I could program better interfaces in my sleep. Want me to fix that for you? Fix it. Zyra was confused. How would a student have permission to modify station systems? April nodded, already sketching designs on her tablet. Humans are adaptable. It's how we survived on Earth before joining Galactic Society. I study engineering alongside xenobiology. Most species specialize. We tend to dabble in many fields. That evening in her quarters, Zyra received a message from April requesting access to her living space to install custom controls. The Vexari hesitated, then approved, wondering if she was making a mistake. The next morning, she discovered every system recalibrated to accommodate her reach and grip strength. The modifications were elegant and subtle. How did you do this without station approval? Zyra asked when they met for morning meal. April grinned, a gesture Zyra was learning meant mischievous pride. I got approval, just not through normal channels. My roommate Lily knows someone in maintenance who owed her a favor. I just made sure the changes followed safety protocols. Zyra felt something unfamiliar, warm appreciation. Perhaps working with this human would be more interesting than she had anticipated. Word spread through the academy about the human who modified station systems for her Vexari partner. Some students watched with curiosity, others with disapproval. During their third week together, a group of Vexari confronted them in the dining hall. Their leader Nexor had been the top student before Zyra arrived. Humans lack understanding of our values. Their primitive society accepts imperfection, he said loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. They bring their chaos into ordered systems. April stepped forward before Zyra could respond. Your friend lost a limb defending your colonies. During the Krell border conflict, she scored higher on entrance exams than anyone in this room. Your values could use an upgrade. The Vexari looked shocked. How did you know about her service record? I read her file when we became partners. April shrugged. Unlike you, I wanted to know my partner, not just judge her later. Zyra questioned April. Why defend me? You barely know me. April smiled, the auburn hair catching the light. Something my grandmother taught me. Strength isn't about how many limbs you have. It's about how you use what you've got. You're the strongest person I've met in this galaxy. Part 2. As the weeks passed, Zyra noticed subtle changes in how others treated her. The human April had a curious effect on those around her. Unlike Vexari, who valued stoic reserve, April spoke directly, confronting prejudice whenever she witnessed it. At first, Zyra found this behavior alarming, but gradually she came to appreciate the humans' forthrightness. Their research project progressed well. They discovered fascinating parallels between human and Vexari circulatory systems. Despite their different evolutionary paths, both species had developed dual pumping organs. Though humans had a single heart with chambers, while Vexari had two separate hearts working in tandem. One afternoon, as they calibrated testing equipment, April asked Zyra about the accident that took her limb. Most students avoided the topic entirely. You don't need to answer if it's too personal, April added, noticing Zyra's hesitation. Zyra considered the request. In Vexari culture, discussing personal weaknesses was discouraged, but April was not Vexari and had shown herself trustworthy. I was a junior navigator on a diplomatic vessel. We encountered a Krell raiding party near the Vega system. They attacked without warning. My console exploded during the battle. The medical team saved my life but could not repair the limb. Vexari regeneration technology works only within the first few hours after injury. We were stranded for 3 days. April listened without interrupting. When Zyra finished, she simply said, "Thank you for telling me. That must have taken incredible courage to survive." "Not courage," Zyra corrected. "There was no choice." April smiled. "That is exactly what courage is. Facing what comes without choice." The human perspective was strange, but Zyra found herself considering it. The Academy physicians had offered her a synthetic replacement limb, but Vexari tradition rejected artificial additions to the body as unnatural. Such modifications were considered worse than the disability itself. April and Zyra spent more time together outside the laboratory. April introduced Zyra to human recreational activities, including something called movie night. In the common area, Zyra found human visual storytelling confusing, but enjoyed observing April and the other humans laughing and commenting on the events depicted. In turn, Zira taught April Vexari meditation techniques to improve focus and mental clarity. April struggled with sitting still for long periods but persisted with typical human determination. Do all humans fidget this much? Zira asked during their 5th attempt. April laughed. We're not exactly known for patience, we're working on it as a species. Zira began receiving messages from her family more frequently than usual. Her mother, a respected geneticist, sent increasingly concerned inquiries about her human partner Vexari, rarely formed close associations with other species, particularly ones as new to galactic society as humans is. This human influencing your studies, her mother wrote. Your father worries about your reputation in the scientific community. Zira did not know how to explain that April had made her studies more productive, not less so. The human approach to science, while less methodical than Vexari methods allowed, for creative connections and intuitive leaps. One day, Professor Kulvak announced a field research opportunity. Students would travel to Proxima Station to study rare specimens from the outer systems. It was a prestigious assignment with only 10 slots available. You should apply, April told Zira. Your work on cross-species cardiovascular response is groundbreaking. Zira shook her head. The shuttle to Proxima has no accommodations for mobility limitations. It would be impractical. April frowned. That's not acceptable, she said. Then spent the next 3 nights redesigning the shuttle interior. Her plans accommodated not only Vexari with mobility issues but also the needs of Hralji students whose crystalline bodies required special seating. She submitted the designs to Professor Kulvak, who brought them to the station engineering team. To Zira's surprise, they approved the modifications. You are applying now, April announced triumphantly. No excuses. When the selected students were announced, Zira and April were both chosen along with 8 others from various species. The modified shuttle performed perfectly during the journey to Proxima. Several students, including a Hralgi named Zin, thanked Zira for the accommodations. It was April's design. Zira explained. Zin's crystalline form sparkled with interest. But you were the inspiration. Without you, she would not have seen the need. Your difference has created improvement for all. Zira had never considered her disability as something that could benefit others. This perspective was unexpected and strangely comforting. At Proxima Station, they were assigned to teams studying different specimen groups. April and Zira were placed with Lily, another human, and Mex, a 4-armed Quetzali. Their task involved analyzing adaptation patterns in species from high-gravity environments. Lily and April worked well together, sharing the easy camaraderie that humans seemed naturally inclined toward. Mex was initially reserved around Zira, but April's friendly demeanor eventually wore down the Quetzali's formality. The research demanded long hours and precise measurements. Zira found herself growing tired more quickly than the others. Her remaining limbs strained to compensate for the missing one. She tried to hide her discomfort, but April noticed. We need to modify your workstation, April said quietly, so others couldn't hear. Let me help. Normally, Zira would refuse assistance, but she was learning that accepting help when needed was not weakness, but practicality. April and Mex adjusted the equipment positioning, allowing Zira to work more efficiently with less physical strain. That night in their shared quarters, April asked Zira about Vexari medical technology. Your people can regrow tissue in early stages, after injury, correct? Why not develop technology to extend that window? It is considered unnatural. Zira explained. Our philosophers teach that the body's initial response indicates the will of the cosmos. If regeneration does not occur immediately, artificial intervention defies natural order. April considered this. What about birth defects? Do Vexari treat those? Yes, Zira admitted. Such treatments are considered corrections of errors, not defiance of nature. April nodded thoughtfully. That distinction seems arbitrary, but I understand cultural values evolve differently. Tell me, have you ever considered prosthetics? Not Vexari technology, but human, or maybe Tessarian. Their biomechanical interfaces are remarkably advanced. Zira had not considered options outside Vexari medicine. The idea was both frightening and intriguing. The greatest concern would be rejection from my community, she admitted. My professional opportunities are already limited. I would become a true outcast. April squeezed her hand, gently. Sometimes being first is the hardest path, but it opens doors for those who follow. As they continued their work at Proxima Station, Zara found herself watching the interactions between different species with new awareness. The humans, with their adaptability, formed connections easily. The rigid hierarchical Quetzali remained formal, but respected expertise regardless of physical form. The crystalline Hralgi valued beauty and diversity, each unique formation considered precious. Perhaps there were other ways to exist than those prescribed by Vixari tradition. For the first time since her accident, Zira began to wonder if her future might hold more possibilities than she had imagined. Part 4. The publication of their research in the Galactic Scientific Review brought unexpected attention to Zira, and April requests for interviews and speaking engagements flooded their communication channels. Professor Kulvak was delighted by the recognition it brought to the Academy. Zira found the attention uncomfortable. She had been raised to value quiet academic pursuit, not public recognition. April, however, seemed to thrive when explaining their work to others. Her enthusiasm was contagious, even convincing reluctant Vixari physicians to consider their findings. 2 months after their return from Proxima Station, Dr. Helix contacted Zira with a formal proposal. The Advanced Regeneration Institute wanted to establish a research partnership focused on extending neural regeneration windows. They offered Zira a position as consultant with the possibility of becoming a test subject for new techniques, if she wished. This is a significant opportunity, Zira told April as they shared evening meal in the station dining hall. April nodded around a mouthful of human food called pasta. It could change everything for people with injuries like yours. Not just Vexari, but other species too. Zira picked at her food, deep in thought. My family has expressed strong disapproval. My mother believes I am betraying our traditions. My father has not responded to my last 3 messages. I'm sorry. April said that must be hard. Family is important to humans too, but we tend to expect each other to make independent choices, especially as adults. The concept of adult independence varied widely among species. Vexari maintained strong family connections throughout life, with elders guiding important decisions. The human approach seemed chaotic to many, Vexari, but Zira was beginning to see its value. I have decided to accept the research position, she said finally. But I remain undecided about becoming a test subject. April reached across the table, squeezing Zira's hand. That makes sense. Take it one step at a time. The following weeks were filled with preparations. Zira would need to travel to the Vexari home system to begin her work with the Institute. She would miss the final months of the academic year, but Professor Klovak arranged for her to complete her studies remotely. April helped Zira pack her belongings for the journey. The humans seemed unusually quiet. Will you return to Earth when the term ends? Zira asked. April nodded. My family is expecting me. But she hesitated, then added, I was thinking maybe I could visit you on Vexari Prime during the break. No human has studied at the Institute before. It would be an amazing opportunity. Vexari Prime rarely welcomed non-Vexari visitors. The planet's strict quarantine protocols and cultural restrictions made tourism impossible. However, Zira's new position might allow her to sponsor a research visit. I will inquire, she promised. The day before Zira's departure, the Academy organized a small gathering to celebrate her appointment. Lily had decorated the common room with colorful paper objects she called streamers. Several students from various species attended, including to Xeris. Surprised Nexor and his group. Nexor approached Zira, his posture indicating formal respect. Your research has merit, he admitted. Your perspective on neural regeneration is innovative. The Institute made a wise choice coming from him. This was extraordinary praise. Zira acknowledged his words with a graceful gesture. Trix, the female who had expressed interest in their protocols, joined them. Your work may help many who suffer injuries in service to our people. The traditions must adapt or become irrelevant. It seemed Xeris research had sparked debate among traditional Vexari. A small shift, perhaps, but significant as the gathering continued. April introduced a human tradition called toasting. Everyone raised containers of their preferred beverages. While April spoke to Zira, she said, whose brilliant mind and courageous spirit will change medicine across the galaxy. May your research heal bodies and change minds. The various species expressed approval in their own ways. Hralgi crystals chimed beautifully. Quetzali stomped their 4 feet in rhythm. Humans clapped their hands. The sound was chaotic, but unified. Later that night, Zira and April sat in Zira's quarters sharing quiet conversation. I have received approval for your visit. Zira announced, you will be the first human to visit the Institute. April's face lit up with excitement. Seriously, that's amazing. But her expression grew serious. Wait, will it cause problems for you? Sponsoring a human, Zira considered this. It may create additional challenges, but your perspective would be valuable to the research, and she hesitated. I would welcome your company. April smiled softly. I'm going to miss you. You know that, right? Vexari did not typically express such emotions openly, but Zira found herself saying, I will experience your absence as well. April laughed. That's the most Vexari way of saying, you'll miss me too. The next morning, April accompanied Zira to the shuttle bay. Her eyes appeared unusually moist, a human sign of emotional distress. Zira felt a strange tightness in her chest. I will send regular updates on the research, she promised. April nodded, then unexpectedly wrapped her arms around Zira in a human embrace. The Vexari stiffened, then gradually relaxed into the unfamiliar contact. It was strange, but not unpleasant. Take care of yourself, April whispered, and remember you're making history. The journey to Vexari Prime took 7 rotations. The planet's swirling purple atmosphere came into view as the transport ship approached. Zira felt the complex emotions of returning home, belonging and alienation intertwined. A representative from the Institute met her at the spaceport. Dr. Lyrax, a mid-aged Vexari with distinguished scale patterns, escorted her to a private transport. The Institute is honored by your presence, Cadet Zira. Dr. Lyrax said formally. Your research has created considerable discussion among our scientists. Some find your methods unconventional, but none can dispute your results. The Advanced Regeneration Institute was located in a remote region far from the densely populated central cities. Its gleaming towers rose from the purple vegetation of the surrounding forest. Zira noticed the building was fully accessible with ramps and adaptive technologies, alongside traditional Vexari design elements. Dr. Helix greeted her in the main atrium. Welcome to your new research home, he said. His manner was warm by Vexari standards. You will find we are less traditional here than in the central cities. Our focus is results, not conventions. Zira was shown to her quarters and then given a tour of the facilities. The laboratories were state-of-the-art with equipment from various worlds, including some she recognized as human design. Several other Vexari with visible disabilities worked in different departments, a sight rarely seen in mainstream Vexari institutions. You have created a different kind of community. Zira observed. Dr. Helix nodded. Progress requires diversity of experience and perspective. Your work with the human. April Winters demonstrated this principle effectively. We hope you will consider inviting her to visit. Our scientists are eager to discuss human adaptive technologies. That evening, Zira contacted April using the long-range communication system. The Institute exceeds my expectations, she reported. The scientists here question traditions. I never expected to find such thinking among our people. April's image flickered on the screen, her smile bright. That's wonderful. I knew there had to be progressive Vexari out there. You can't all be stubborn traditionalists. She teased. Zira found herself smiling in return, a gesture becoming more natural with practice. The Institute has approved your visit. They seem particularly interested in human adaptive technologies. April clapped her hands excitedly. I can bring examples. Mom works for an assistive technology company. She can help me gather the latest prototypes. As they continued talking, Zira felt the distance between worlds shrink. Her new position at the Institute, her friendship with April, the possibilities for both research and personal Healing all combined to create something she had not experienced since before her injury. Hope in the days that followed. Zira immersed herself in the Institute's ongoing projects. She was assigned her own research team focusing on neural pathway regeneration. The other scientists treated her with respect, valuing her insights. Gradually, she began to feel that she belonged somewhere for the first time since her accident one evening. Dr. Helix invited her to his office to discuss her progress. "Your work is exceptional," he said. "The preliminary results suggest we may be able to extend the regeneration window significantly." He hesitated, then added, "We believe you're ready to consider the experimental procedure if you wish. It would involve significant risk but also possibility." Part 3. Their time at Proxima Station was coming to an end. The research team had compiled impressive data on adaptations in high-gravity species. April and Zyra had discovered a previously unknown correlation between circulatory efficiency and neural pathways in 3 different species. Their findings suggested possibilities for medical applications across species boundaries. On their final night at the station, the administration hosted a formal gathering to celebrate the students' achievements. Representatives from various academic and scientific organizations attended, including several Vixari dignitaries. Zira recognized the distinctive purple robes of the Science Ministry. April wore a human formal outfit she called a dress. Her auburn hair was arranged in an elaborate style, and she had applied coloring to her face, enhancing her features. Zira found the transformation fascinating. "You look different," she observed. April smiled. "It's called makeup. Humans have been decorating our bodies. For thousands of years, it's fun to change our appearance sometimes." Zyra wore traditional Vixari academic attire, modified to accommodate her missing limb. The adaptations were subtle, but any Vixari would notice immediately. As they entered the gathering hall, Zyra felt the familiar weight of scrutiny. The Vixari dignitaries noticed her immediately, their posture stiffening in disapproval. One elder, a female with elaborate facial markings indicating high status, approached. "Student Zyra, I am Elder Varix, of the Science Ministry. We have heard reports of your research." Zyra bowed respectfully. "Elder Varix, it is an honor." The elder's gaze flicked to April, then back to Zyra. "Your partnership with the human is unusual. Your findings are being reviewed by the ministry." Was that approval or warning? Zyra could not tell. The elder moved away to speak with other dignitaries. April squeezed Zyra's arm gently. "You okay?" "I am uncertain." Zyra admitted Vixari communication relies heavily on subtle cues. The elders' interest could be positive or negative. Professor Kovac approached their group, mandibles clicking excitedly. "Your research team has attracted significant attention. Students, the Galactic Medical Coalition has expressed interest in your findings regarding cross-species applications." This was unexpected news. The coalition funded advanced research and development of medical technologies across known space. Their interest could mean opportunities beyond the academy. Lily squealed with delight, a human expression of extreme happiness. April grinned widely while Mex the Quetzali performed a formal gesture of honor. Zyra remained outwardly calm, though her secondary heart beat faster as the evening progressed. Zyra noticed a group of Vixari students watching her. They were led by Nexor, who had confronted her and April in the dining hall weeks earlier. His posture indicated aggression. April noticed her attention shift. "What's wrong?" "Those students," Zyra indicated discreetly. "They disapprove of my presence." Here April's expression hardened. "Let them disapprove. You earned your place." Before Zyra could respond, Elder Varix returned accompanied by another Vexari in medical attire. "Student Zyra, this is Dr. Helix from the Advanced Regeneration Institute. He wishes to discuss your research." The doctor bowed slightly. "Your work on neural pathway stimulation has implications for our regeneration technologies. We have been exploring methods to extend the regeneration window beyond the initial hours after injury. Your findings suggest new approaches." Zyra felt a surge of emotion she carefully controlled. Such research directly challenged traditional Vexari medical philosophy. that would contradict established teaching on natural healing windows. She noted Dr. Helix's inner eyelids flickered, a sign of progressive thinking. Science must evolve with new evidence. The cosmos reveals its patterns gradually, not all at once. This was radical thinking for a Vexari physician. Zira glanced at April, who was watching the interaction with interest. Would such techniques be considered for existing injuries, Dr. Helix asked, or merely theoretical possibilities? Zira understood the question beneath the question. He was asking if she would consider experimental treatment for her own limb. I believe all knowledge should have practical application when ethically appropriate, she answered carefully. The doctor seemed satisfied with this response. We should discuss this further when you return to the home system. Your perspective as both researcher and potential beneficiary would be valuable. After he departed, April looked at Zira with excitement. Did he just offer to help you regrow your limb? Perhaps, Zira said. Medical innovation moves slowly among my people, but this suggests changing attitudes. The gathering continued with presentations from each research team. When it was their turn, April insisted that Zira present their findings. Though public speaking was difficult for her, Zira explained their discoveries, clearly her voice growing stronger as she described the potential applications. The audience listened attentively. When she finished, there was appreciative clicking, buzzing and tapping from the various species. Even the Vexari dignitaries indicated approval as they mingled afterward. Nexor and his group finally approached. Zira, your research is impressive. Nexor admitted reluctantly, but your methods are questionable. Working closely with humans adopting their values. You risk contaminating Vexari scientific tradition. April started to respond, but Zira raised her hand, stopping her. Science is not about tradition but truth, she said firmly. The cosmos does not limit its revelations to any one species or methodology. My disability has given me perspective others lack. I see connections where others see only separation. That is not contamination, but evolution. Nexor seemed taken aback by her directness. Several of his companions looked thoughtful. One, a female named Trix, stepped forward. Would be interested in reviewing your research protocols, she said. Your results cannot be dismissed regardless of methodology. It was a small opening but significant. Zira felt something shift within her community. Not acceptance yet, but the beginning of consideration later as they packed their belongings for the return journey. April asked Zira about her confrontation with Nexor. You stood up for yourself. That was amazing. Zira considered this. I observed how you defend your principles without apology. It seemed effective. April laughed. You've been studying humans like specimens. Perhaps, Zira admitted with a slight gesture of amusement. You are fascinating subjects. The journey back to Harmony 7 Station was filled with excited discussion of future research. The team had bonded through their shared work. Even Mex, the formal Quetzali, had relaxed enough to share jokes, though Zira did not understand most of the humor upon their return. Professor Kulvak informed them that their research would be published in the Galactic Scientific Review, a prestigious journal rarely open to student contributions. Their names would appear as co-authors, a significant achievement. That evening in Zira's quarters, April brought a strange container of frozen human food called ice cream to celebrate. Try it, she encouraged. Its sweet. Zira hesitated, then tasted the cold substance. The flavor exploded on her tongue, startling and pleasant simultaneously. This is acceptable, she said, which made April laugh. You mean it's delicious, April corrected. Just admit you like something fun. Zira found herself smiling, a gesture she had adopted from humans. It still felt strange on her face. I am considering contacting Dr. Helix about the regeneration research, she told April. The possibility of regrowing my limb is both frightening and hopeful. My family will object strongly. April set down her ice cream, looking serious. Are you asking my opinion? Zira nodded, valuing her friend's perspective. It's your body. April said your choice should be based on what you want, not what others expect. If you decide to try the treatment, it'll support you. If you decide against it, it'll support that too. Either way, You're still the brilliant scientist who just got published in a fancy space journal. The simple acceptance in April's words touched something deep in Zira. For the first time since her injury, she felt truly seen, not as a disabled Vexari, but as herself, complete with all her complexities. Part 5. Zira stared at the detailed holographic projection of her own body. The missing limb appeared as a ghostly outline next to the solid images of her existing form. Dr. Helix explained the proposed procedure using calm, scientific terms. The neural pathways remain viable though dormant. He said, "We would reactivate them using targeted stimulation based partially on your research findings, then introduce regenerative compounds derived from early-stage Vexari development. The process would take approximately 4 months with no guarantee of success." "I understand the risks," Zira said. Her scientific mind could assess the medical factors objectively, but the personal implications were more complex. Dr. Helix regarded her with compassion. "We do not need your decision immediately. Consider carefully, this would make you the first Vexari to undergo experimental limb regeneration. Many will oppose it on traditional grounds." Zira knew this well. Her family had already expressed their objection to her mere involvement with the research. Traditional Vexari philosophy held that the body's initial healing response reflected the will of the cosmos. Artificial intervention beyond that window was considered unnatural, even sacrilegious to some. In her quarters that evening, Zira contacted April. The human was preparing for her upcoming visit to Vexari Prime. April listened carefully as Zira explained the procedure and the cultural opposition she faced. "So basically, it's medically possible but culturally forbidden," April summarized. "That is accurate," Zira confirmed. April was quiet for a moment, then asked, "What do you want? Not what your family wants or what tradition says, but what you, Zira, want for yourself." The question was startlingly direct. In the Vexari way of thinking, individual wants were secondary to family honor and cultural norms. Yet Zira had been living outside those norms since her accident. "I want to be whole," she admitted finally. "But I fear becoming further isolated from my people." April leaned closer to the screen. "If they reject you for healing yourself, then maybe those aren't the connections worth preserving. The scientists at the Institute accept you. Either way, right? Those are your people now, the ones who see your value." However you are. Zira's next call was more difficult. Her mother appeared on screen, her posture rigid with disapproval. "You dishonor our family name with this research," her mother said. "Your father cannot face his colleagues knowing his daughter rejects our most sacred traditions." Zira felt the familiar weight of shame, but alongside it something new. "Resolve, mother. The traditions were created when we understood less about our own biology. As our knowledge expands, should not our practices evolve as well?" Her mother's inner eyelids flickered rapidly, a sign of distress. "Such thinking leads to chaos. The wisdom of generations cannot be discarded for modern convenience." "It is not convenience, mother, but healing," Zira countered. "If the cosmos did not wish us to develop this knowledge, why would it allow us to discover it?" This philosophical argument her mother had no immediate answer for. The conversation ended without resolution, but Zira felt she had at least spoken her truth. The day of April's arrival brought unexpected anxiety. Zira found herself checking the spaceport schedules repeatedly. No human had ever visited the Institute before. April would be a curiosity, an object of scrutiny. Her friendship with Zira would be analyzed and judged. When April finally emerged from the arrival gate, her auburn hair immediately visible among the Vexari travelers, she carried several large cases. She wore formal clothing, appropriate for diplomatic visits. Her face brightened when she spotted Zira. "You came," she said, wrapping Zira in a quick human embrace, seemingly unconcerned about the stares from nearby Vexari. "The Institute sent a private transport to collect them." April stared out the windows with undisguised fascination at the purple landscape and spiraling architecture of Vexari cities. "It's beautiful," she said. "The images in our databases don't do it justice." The Institute had prepared guest quarters for April with modifications for human comfort. The scientists greeted her with formal respect but obvious curiosity. April's presentation of human adaptive technologies was scheduled for the following day. She spent the evening organizing her materials, while Zyra explained the nuances of Vexari scientific protocol. Just be yourself, Zyra advised, but perhaps with slightly less physical contact. Vexari value personal space. April laughed. I'll try to keep my hands to myself, but no promises if I get excited. The presentation exceeded Zyra's expectations. April displayed remarkable sensitivity to Vexari customs while still bringing human enthusiasm to her subject. She demonstrated prosthetics, neural interfaces, and adaptive tools designed for various disabilities. The scientists asked thoughtful questions revealing genuine interest. Most impressive was April's demonstration of a neural bridge device that allowed humans with spinal injuries to regain movement. The technology was different from Vexari's regenerative approach, but the results were undeniable. Our philosophy is that technology should adapt to people, not the other way around. April explained. We see disability not as a flaw, but as a variation in the human condition. Our tools aim to bridge the gap between different abilities. Dr. Helix was particularly interested in combining human interface technology with Vexari regenerative methods. The possibilities could benefit both species. After the formal presentation, April spent several days meeting with different research teams. Her perspective challenged Vexari scientists to reconsider their approaches. In turn, she learned Vexari biological principles that might improve human medical technology. On the 5th day of April's visit, Zyra made her decision. She requested a meeting with Dr. Helix. I wish to undergo the procedure, she told him. I believe the potential benefits outweigh the risks, both medical and cultural. Dr. Helix seemed pleased but cautious. You understand? This will create significant controversy. Your family may formally disown you, according to tradition. I understand, Zyra said. I have considered all factors. My decision is made. When she told April, the human hugged her tightly. I'm proud of you, she whispered. This is huge. The procedure was scheduled for the following month. April extended her stay, wanting to be present for at least the initial stages. Her university approved the extension, classifying it as a research opportunity. News of the planned procedure spread quickly through Vexari society. The traditional council issued a formal statement condemning the institute's work as unnatural and dangerous. Several prominent families withdrew funding. A small protest formed outside the institute gates. Zyra received a formal letter from her father officially severing family ties. Though expected, the reality was painful. April found her sitting alone in her quarters, the letter displayed on her screen. Sorry, she said, sitting beside Zyra. Is there anything I can do? Zyra shook her head. This is our way. Once decided, such separations are absolute. She struggled to maintain her composure. My choice is logical, but the emotional impact is significant. April took her hand. Sometimes the right choice still hurts. The day before the procedure, Zyra received an unexpected visitor. Her former classmate Trix had traveled from the academy to see her. Your courage has inspired debate among the younger generation. Trix told her, many of us question the rigidity of our traditions. Your research has opened new possibilities. Some elders call it corruption, but others see evolution. This small encouragement strengthened Zyra's resolve. She would be first, but perhaps not last. The procedure itself took 14 hours. April waited with Dr. Helix, monitoring the progress. The initial neural stimulation was successful, reactivating dormant pathways to the missing limb. The regenerative compounds were introduced according to protocol. Now began the long process of cellular regrowth. Recovery would take months with no certainty of success. April could not remain for the entire time. She had her own studies to complete. I hate leaving you, Zyra, she said the day before her departure. You have your own path to follow. Zyra reminded her. We will maintain communication. The distance between worlds does not diminish connection. April smiled. You sound almost human sometimes. I will take that as a compliment, Zyra replied. Over the following months, Zyra divided her time between her own treatment and continuing research. The regeneration progressed slowly but steadily. Her body responded to the therapy better than expected. She sent regular updates to April, who responded with enthusiasm and support. 6 months after the procedure began, Zyra stood in the medical chamber, watching as Dr. Helix removed the final protective covering from her newly regrown limb. It was smaller than her other limbs, paler in color, but undeniably real. She flexed it carefully, feeling the strange, wonderful sensation of movement where there had been nothing for so long. The first thing she did was record a message to April activating the communication system with her new limb. It worked. She said simply, showing the limb moving on camera. April's response was immediate, an excited video, message filled with human expressions of joy and pride. 3 weeks later, when Zyra had gained sufficient control of the regenerated limb, April returned to Vexari Prime. This time, she was accompanied by 2 human medical researchers interested in the collaborative possibilities between human and Vexari medicine. The Institute welcomed them formally. The success of Zyra's procedure had silenced many critics and intrigued others. Even some traditionally minded Vexari now acknowledged that perhaps some evolution of practice was acceptable.